Gang gang, that's who I hooked up with. True gang gang, that's who I hooked up with. Gang, that's who I hooked up. Yo, there's no place to hide now that he's arrived. I'm saying he ain't playing now with this campaign. Bang.
Are we live?
Dang.
We can't see ourselves though.
Come roll with the gang gang. He's the one I'm endorsing. This style is awesome. Taking donations, whatever size the portion. If not volunteer,
We're on?
time instead. Grassroots won't stop it. Propose to who's ahead. Some say who is that? Hey, yo, you know it's that. Other candidates go home to the super whack. Yeah, they all done. Humanity first. That's the slogan.
We're live. What's up, guys? We're gonna try something pretty crazy. Welcome back to Ask Andrew. All day, moderated Q&A. I am not talented enough to do what I'm about to explain that we're supposed to be doing right now. So we've been at it. We are in hour 9 of this unfiltered, unmoderated Q&A session. How you feeling, Andrew?
I think it's technically the beginning of hour 10. I did some math.
You're right. That's true. We're completed hour 9. Now in hour 10. So what's going to happen right now, which is actually really fun, is that NBC Boston, which is a very...
Joining the live stream.
They are joining our live stream. And they're a very great media outlet for the state of
New Hampshire.
Which we love very much. So they're on. We've got these AirPods because we're very tech savvy. I am not talented enough to multitask while some dude's talking to me.
I can hear the NBC feed
in
my ear.
Anyway, so there's a certain point where we're going to interrupt what's happening. They're going to beam in, I believe, and ask a question. Y'all are not going to be able to hear it, so I will repeat it to you. We'll look kind of stupid, but I think it will look cool for those of you in New Hampshire.
New Hampshire.
So we love you, New Hampshire and Boston. Hope you see this. We've been asking everything under the sun. Just for reference, guys, that last song was from our boy MC
Jid.
We love you. Thank you. Shout out to him and everything he's done for the campaign. And I would say this, Andrew, shout out to all the artists out there. Like the Yang Gang art is just,
it's amazing.
It's fantastic.
I love it so much. Just the memes, the songs, the graphics, the posters, the artwork, the stickers.
Someone handed us a yardstick that said longer than long shot on it, which was pretty cool, I thought.
And then, as most of you know, Rivers Cuomo of Weezer's coming to Iowa November 1. Woo! So we've got some big name artists.
Yangapalooza happening in Iowa November 1st. If you are anywhere near the area, come. It's going to be awesome. Big event for the Yang Gang. Okay. Before NBC happens, peeking in. It's disastrous. Let's start with this. Okay, dude, we have so many questions on this, and I hesitate to bring it up a little bit because it's very controversial, very serious. But Trevor on Twitter was the first one to say this, and it has a lot of retweets. So Andrew Yang, pineapple on pizza. Thoughts?
So it does seem like it's ruining perfectly good pizza. And it's ruining perfectly good pineapple, so it seems like no one's winning. But at the same time, someone must be ordering it. So in the spirit of humanity first, I guess we will keep the Hawaiian pizzas alive.
I don't mind Hawaiian pizza. You don't have Hawaiian pizza.
I'm not a fan.
Yeah. What's your go-to? Very cool. Actually, I don't know this. You're a pepperoni guy. What's your go-to pizza slice? Are we live?
Oh, we're 2 minutes away.
2 minutes away.
Look at that.
What's your go-to pizza?
Cheese or pepperoni?
Cheese or pepperoni.
I'm a pretty simple man. Simple tastes.
Most of the time.
Simple pleasures.
You're relatively simple.
Cheese pizza, vanilla ice cream. No, I'm kidding.
What else we got that's fun while we kill let's go 60 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, this one's been asking a lot. So this is from Jan. We saw you skateboard. Can you do an ollie?
I can do a pale simulation of an ollie that probably is not worthy of the name ollie. So it's like a little like there's like a tiny bit of lift off with the rear wheel, and like it's awkward. So you can take that as like
almost.
Yeah, pretty much an almost ollie. An ollie.
Were you a longboard guy like the Cali Bros?
No,
I
was not that cool.
Okay, I'm just curious. A couple other fun ones. This is from Kai. Go to basketball movie.
Movie?
Movie. Or actually says move, but I'm actually more curious in movie.
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 It would have to be like, was the one with Ray Allen? Jesus got Jesus got game, or he got game. He got game.
I don't think Jesus is involved.
No, but his name was Jesus Shuttlesworth.
Oh, really?
In the movie, so I didn't make that up. He got game. Spike Lee. Denzel's in it. That are blue chips with Penny.
I thought you were going to go Space Jam.
Best basketball move.
Yeah, move.
I mean, it used to be that I would be able to face someone up and drive by them. Now it probably is that I settled into a nice little fadeaway.
Little hook shot. Oh, guys, we're going live. They said just a second in Boston. For those of you driving in, this is NBC Boston. They're talking about how cool we are right now. Do you want to repeat the question for them?
I can do it, sure.
Okay. They're still talking about us.
Now they're showing footage of me.
They're showing footage. This is probably boring content for those of you at home, but this is really good for the campaign. So they're coming in. I don't think they can see us and hear us. We can hear, only you and I can hear them. It's pretty much
I
the
know.
situation.
I'm sorry, Yang Gang. It's like now I'm having a conversation with myself.
I think we're coming in live. Hey, we can hear you.
There's a long queue, but skipping it for our friends at NBC Boston. Love you guys. I'm doing great. I've got so many refreshments right here. I've got this. I've got that.
Dr. Pepper.
There are like 6 people there with like water bottles, like I'm on a bike marathon. No, there aren't those people, but I'm fine. I mean, shoot, it's only 10 hours. Like, this is like, I'm sure a very normal work day for you over at NBC Boston. Well, we were talking about the debate format and the questions why this format. So in the debate, you have these 60 or 70 second sound bites. You might wait half an hour before you speak again. You might speak 8 minutes and 3 hours. And so we said, well, how can we convey our vision to the American people and also answer more questions? And we said, well, why don't we just stake out a whole day and answer as many questions as we can? And given that it is 2019, there are many, many platforms and ways to reach voters, so we thought we'd use them all. And it's been phenomenal. I like to think that voters have actually gotten their questions answered more thoroughly in this context than by turning on a debate, because the fact is in the debate stage, we end up with competing sound bites, and that may or may not be the best way to communicate to voters. Oh, well, I was told just now by someone on my team that over 400,000 people have seen some aspect of this 10-hour marathon, Ask Me Anything. And so I dare say that a lot of those people are probably not hardcore Andrew Yang supporters, or probably curious, or just saw me at the debate and decided to tune in. So it's been a mixture, and this is a great way for us to expand our reach. Certainly, I think people in the Yang Gang are excited, but a lot of people who are just starting to find out about me are also excited.
Wow, he's hating on David Arquette.
No, I know. David Arquette's the man. But so Rivers Cuomo of Weezer is doing a concert for us in Iowa. We have some other celebrity endorsements on the way. Nick Cage is a donor and supporter. Elon Musk supported me and supports me now. And Elon Musk, I'm sure, is an A-lister by any measure. He's like the real-life Iron Man.
That's
So
true.
he's like he's like an A+ lister. Yeah, so he was asking, so David Arquette was interested in how we can make capitalism work for more people. He was calling from a women's shelter in LA, talking about people who are falling through the cracks. And so it was actually a very profound question, how we can make our economy work better for us. And my response is that this is really what this campaign's all about, is that instead of measuring our economy in terms of GDP and corporate profits, we should be measuring it in our own health and our mental health and how our children are doing, the quality of our environment. And there's nothing stopping us from adopting these 21st century measurements. We made up GDP almost 100 years ago, and it's time for an upgrade. Well, top question from today.
Top question.
You know what? We want something
Besides the pineapple pizza question.
You know, I was like asked about which celebrities I'd want to endorse me if I could have my druthers, and I chose Oprah and The Rock because they are two of the most admired people in American life. So that was fun. Answered some questions about healthcare. Got out our vision for Medicare for all. Because we need to get healthcare off the backs of families and businesses. And I've run a business myself, and I know our current system is essentially the worst of all possible worlds. So it's been a mixture of both fun topics and very serious topics throughout the day. Yes.
Thank you.
Appreciate the heck out of you. See you next week. Love you, Boston. Love you, New Hampshire. You know how it is running for president.
Thank you, man. All right. America, we're back. Don't ever think that we love the press more than we love you.
All right, back to the party at hand.
Back to the party.
Thank you for bearing with us, Yang Gang. But you know how it is. I mean, if you can reach people in the great state of New Hampshire, that is an incredible opportunity. And the fact is, I'll do some inside baseball because I think the Yang Gang loves this stuff.
Okay.
So about half of New Hampshire sits in the Boston media market. And Boston is a very expensive media market. And so if you are trying to reach people in New Hampshire, you have a very difficult calculation to make, which is, do you throw down on Boston media, which is very, very expensive to reach them, or do you not? That's really the fundamental choice. And so right now, we are marshaling our resources to be able to make the right investments, but at the same time, you got to pick the low-hanging fruit. So if a Boston news network wants to talk to you and it's going to reach half of New Hampshire, then you're like, wow,
Let's do it.
Yeah, we can have our cake and eat it
Especially if
too.
you're doing something fun like this, you know.
Yeah, and I think you all know the Yang Gang is very strong in New Hampshire. What was our high watermark in the polls there? I saw a 5%.
We just got 5% the other day, which is very exciting. The thing about the polls is like
fourth.
They're not always super.
Whatever
accurate,
our
but
polls
they just
are, it's like an
trend
understatement of where we are, because
Correct.
you know that there are tons of independents and Republicans in New Hampshire that are excited about us.
Don't you love when people say the Yang Gang's not going to vote?
The Yang Gang's
Are
going
you
to vote.
kidding me?
It's like the
Are you
opposite.
kidding me? The Yang Gang makes art. They tattoo their calves. Are you kidding me? They're not going to vote?
Yeah, I think tattooing your calf's a little higher commitment.
That's
than
not
voting.
requirement. All right. We're going to go.
If you haven't tattooed your calf,
You're not.
what have you done? Kidding. I'll show you my calf tattoo.
No, it's not.
Kidding.
Calves. All right, guys.
Don't do it. Juanito, love you for doing it, but
That was
we
cool.
certainly would not encourage others to follow in your footsteps.
So I'd like to hit 3 topics before we resign for the evening, if we
Sure.
can. The 3 topics, and I'm going to say them out loud on the front end so we
Make sure and get them.
make sure we get them, right? We feel obligated to. And then the other part of this flow is that if you donate between now and let's say 8:30 Eastern time, which is the next hour and 15 minutes, if you donate, we're going to get your information and call you, or try to call as many as you can. So we'll be making calls, sending you text messages to get on here and ask your question. Now, ideally, they're in one of these 3 topics that I'm talking about, but you can ask anything. That's the point. But the 3 topics I want to hit education, I want to hit climate change, and I want to hit
LGBTQ.
equality and LGBTQ. Things we don't always get to talk about so much. So let's start. I'm gonna start with education. This is one of my
Let's
favorite.
start with LGBTQ.
You want to start with that?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, hang on. I had a good question, but now I gotta pull it up. Okay. This question is from Becca. She says, protecting LGBTQ workers under sex protection while legally expedient is a rejection of the idea that trans men are men and trans women are women. Would you push for explicit protections for LGBT Americans to be signed into law regardless of the Supreme Court's decision on how they feel it relates to sex?
Yes, I would. The tagline for this campaign is humanity first, and last I checked, that means everybody. And so certainly if the Supreme Court does not want to recognize the rights of trans Americans, then we have to try and pass that law. That's what the laws are for. And I know the Supreme Court right now is hearing cases about whether sexual orientation should be protected, should be a protected category, and 100% it should be. It's so long overdue. To me, it's in some ways hopeful that like we've raced ahead of the laws so quickly, but the laws need to catch up in a huge way, because the fact that it's legal to discriminate against someone based on sexual orientation in terms of their employment and other things, to me, is unconscionable. I mean, does that seem just to anybody being like, hey, like I found out that you love a certain way, you're fired? I mean, that's reprehensible. So we need to have the law catch up to present day American society and our values, and have sexual orientation be a protected category under the law. I certainly hope the Supreme Court makes the right decision in the days to come. But if they don't, then we need to pass the law in Congress.
So in addition to that, I want to add on a question from William, who said, Mr. Yang, I'm a gay man who feels my rights have been less than for most of my life. President Obama's administration give me a sense that there was a road to equality, and then the Trump administration essentially reversed that, has taken away that sense of equality, and actually made me fear for my safety. Besides what we just talked about, as president, what will you be doing? What will you do for the community?
I certainly hope that my election will be a signal in the same way that you felt that William, right?
William, yes.
That William felt about Obama's election. That's like a sign of progress and inclusion and values. But when I talk to LGBTQ Americans around the country, they say something similar to William, in the sense that they're more likely to be kicked out of the house, fired from a job, economically persecuted, and struggle with stress levels and mental health issues. And one of the things they said to me was that my flagship proposal, this Freedom Dividend, would help make members of the community more resilient, because they'd be able to leave certain unwelcome or even dangerous environments,
Right.
and then move to more welcoming and supportive environments, be able to pay for things that help make them stronger and healthier, like if there's a need for counseling or anything along those lines. And so to me, they're the laws and the culture, which I believe I can very positively influence and impact. Right. But then there's the reality on the ground, where we all know that regardless of the laws on the books, people in the LGBTQ community are going to still face prejudice and hatred every single day. And so the question is, how do members of the community actually protect themselves and move or remove yourself from an environment that's going to persecute you for who you are. And so one of the things I love about the Freedom Dividend is it actually makes us all more able to protect ourselves and make society more dynamic and resilient. It protects the people who need it the most, and that can be true for a number of things, but certainly the LGBTQ community would be chief among them. Because, it's like there are values as a culture, and then there's the day-to-day reality, and we have to try and improve all of it. Certainly in my administration, and my campaign is very fortunate to have leaders who are LGBTQ, and they're incredible. Same would be true in my administration. There'd be very senior leaders who are LGBTQ, because to me it would be very strange if that were not the case, honestly. So hopefully that's helpful, William. Hopefully my presidency can give you the same kind of optimism and sense of a path forward.
One of the things you talk about a lot is there's the laws and there's the culture, which you just kind of said, right?
To me, there are three things, man. There's like the laws, and then there's the culture, and then there's the reality on the ground.
Yeah, which maybe the last two are kind of tied in the same thing. But yeah,
no, because the culture is like, hey, what do I think is right, and then the reality on the ground is like, hey, when the shit hits the fan, honestly, it's like, what can I do?
Right.
It's like, they're different. And that to me is very different than cultural images.
Right, I agree. It's one of the things, and you said on the debate stage, like rules, while sometimes helpful, don't always save us.
Yeah, the rules. Not everything is a rules problem. I mean, obviously, if you're passing laws, then it's very tempting to see everything as a rules problem because you're literally passing rules,
right.
and having the right rules in the books is 100% crucial and pivotal. But also, I think anyone in the LGBTQ community knows that even if we get all of the proper rules and protections on the books, you're still going to wake up the next day and there's going to be someone who sees you and is prejudiced against you because the rules and protections don't go into people's hearts and minds and change them overnight.
Right.
That's going to be ongoing.
So Nate online is asking a clarifying question. Based on, because we talked about rules, we talked about, frankly, more than rules. But his question was: the Equality Act currently proposed in Congress would outlaw discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity. Do you support the Equality Act?
Oh, 100% yes.
Yeah,
completely.
We are in support of the rules.
Thank you for specifying, because it is different. The Equality Act is one thing, and then including sexual orientation and the Civil Rights Act is another.
Right.
But I'm for the Equality Act completely, Nate.
And I think one of the things we've always stressed with the Yang Gang is living and breathing humanity first, right? Like, so when in doubt, that's what we stand for,
Yeah, it makes things very straightforward. So you think, like, what's the right thing to do on, like, a human level? Well, clearly,
right.
Of course, members of the LGBTQ community should be considered equal in every possible respect.
Yeah. I'm going to shift topics because in interest base, we have an hour left, but
sure.
Anything you wanted to add as I close the loop on this? And I think we covered a good amount,
just that there's like on a personal level, like I grew up the son of immigrants in this country, and I remember being the skinny Asian kid who'd skipped a grade, who just felt out of place, like one of the only non-white kids in my school, and I just felt like that sense of marginalization and sometimes shame. And I think that gives me at least a sense of what it's like to grow up marginalized in this country. You can't know what it's like to grow up anything other than what you are. So, I would certainly never imagine I understand the LGBTQ experience or other experiences, but I feel like I understand what it's like to feel like you don't belong, and I naturally would love to change that feeling for young people and young Americans of every background.
Thank you for that. I'm going to leave it there because it's powerful, personal. Let's shift. Do we have calls, Patricia, or should
yes,
I?
We do.
Let's do a call. You okay?
Let's let the donors rack up, because then someone can donate and then get in on this call action, or we can do it periodically.
Yeah, we're gonna do a bunch.
We're
Yeah,
gonna do one, and then
we'll do one. If they don't pick up, we're just gonna move on.
Donating. We're gonna keep doing it.
Yeah, we're just gonna move on. See what happens here.
Okay.
It's like my side eye.
See how this one works.
Who's this person? Who are they?
Who is it?
Hello, this is Ian.
Hey, Ian. This is Andrew Yang. I'm calling from the live stream. I'm here with Zach Grumman.
Hey.
Awesome. Hey, guys. How are you?
Hey, Ian. Thank you so much for donating to the campaign. You're awesome.
Well, thank you guys for doing this. I'm actually here in Columbus, Ohio. So you guys were just here with us, having an amazing time.
Did I meet you, Ian?
You know what? You have met me. But I guarantee you've probably met hundreds of thousands of other.
No, I remember meeting
awesome
Ian in Columbus, Ohio. So it was just this week, right, at the debates, during this period.
Yeah. So actually Wednesday at the fundraiser, I let a lot of other Yang members have a lot of fun taking pictures and getting to meet you. I actually got to meet you in Columbus back in February when you came through with another colleague of mine. So second time, Yang.
I remember you, Ian. Thank you so much, man. You're such a good person. I remember, I remember you stepping aside and letting other people, selfie it up and whatnot. Yeah.
We pulled this at random. We should tell
This was
them.
random?
We pulled this at random. This
You're
is not
just a
ringer.
random person we now have met.
Well,
But yeah, I
did
remember,
just
Ian.
donate as well. So
Thank you,
guess
Ian.
Randomness comes in handy every once in a while.
Hey, Ian, now that you're live in front of how many people we got? A lot.
Yeah, you can ask me anything.
What
Fun.
would you like to ask?
Perfect. So no pressure, right? So I'm actually a family medicine physician here in Columbus.
Good
Get
for
to
you.
work with a lot of really amazing people on a lot of different medical issues. And one of the things that I was really excited about your platform initially was Medicare for All. But one thing that I think is affecting the healthcare system in this country is a lack of primary care. So I'm just wondering.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, not the question you were.
No, dude. I
We
feel
love
very
it,
strongly about this question.
So I'm just interested how the campaign has developed and the issue around Medicare for All, how you feel like primary care can really get to the forefront of how we fix a lot of the inequities in our healthcare system.
I am so passionate about this, Ian. Congrats on being a family doctor. But there's this undersupply of primary care physicians because you get loaded up with med school debt, and then you have to make a
Yes.
choice as to, it's like, hey, am I going to become a specialist and make more money, or am I going to become a primary care doctor and make less money, and then maybe go to a rural area and compound to make less money? And so then too many of our, it's like you can't blame them in a sense, because if you get loaded up with $200K in debt, then it's kind of reasonable to be like, well, I guess I'll try and become an anesthesiologist or whatnot.
Sure.
So we need to try and balance the scales and say, look, if you become a primary care doctor, we'll just forgive all your debt. We'll free you up, and then make it more of an actual decision. We also need to increase the supply of doctors over time. We've had an ongoing shortage of primary care doctors for years, decades. We have this primary care desert in 30% of the country. We need to loosen up the licensing requirements across state lines, try and make it so that you can access practitioners in other parts of the country without these artificial barriers. And then I would like to supplement different types of professionals, so that if you're in a rural area, instead of saying hey, we're going to wait 6 years for an MD, it's look, let's get you a host of other types of professionals that can do 80% of what the doctor can do, and then either beam in the doctor or send you to a doctor in the cases that need it.
Sure. Can I ask you a tangential question to that?
Ooh, he's doubling up.
Sure.
It's a good thing we like you.
So I'm actually a big proponent of machine-based learning and AI, and I'm wondering how you see that fitting into the supplementation or augmenting the role of a primary care doctor.
Yeah, it plays a big part, because if you send in a nurse practitioner augmented by AI, then she can diagnose conditions to a higher level of accuracy. You can have an AI second opinion, essentially improving diagnoses and expanding access, particularly in areas that might not have the MD present. Mm-hmm. And so I'm a huge fan of this. To me, the problem in many ways right now is all of the AMA regulations that are impeding some of these possibilities. So I'm glad you're a fan of machine learning, Ian, because so am I. And to me, evidence-based medicine and the use of technology, there's so much potential that's not being fulfilled right now.
Yeah.
I agree. Well, thank you guys so much for taking my call.
Thank
I
you,
guess
Ian.
You called me, so.
We did
That's
call
true.
you.
Thank you for your donation.
Thank you for taking our call, and thank you for donating, Ian. You're a champ, man. We'll see you on our third trip through Columbus, which I don't know when that is. But it'll happen, I'm sure.
Thank you, Ian.
All right,
See you,
take
bud.
care, guys. Thank you.
That was cool.
Yeah, not a ringer, though
Not a
Ian's
plant.
a great guy. I literally saw him like 2 days ago.
Big event in Columbus.
Yeah, it was on Wolf Blitzer. You could see.
It was so cool. If you guys didn't see it, you can look it up because we had the Yang Gang in the background.
They were like behind like a barrier, and it was like, "Whoa, release the hounds!" It was like that.
I have this idea that I want to bring the Yang Gang with us every time we do a remote hit like that. So
Certainly be a lot more fun than
if
sitting
you guys
in a
are into
weird
that,
dark
just take on
studio.
Twitter.
It's like a lot of those remote cable hits are like you're in a hostage video. It's like,
they're lifeless, man.
wait, I'm gonna imitate it. Hang on.
Okay, you ready? You
You
gotta
gotta
turn all the
stare at
lights
the
off.
camera and turn it off, and to stare at the video, and you have a headpiece. You're on a delay, and you're like, "What did you just say?" Anyway.
Can you hear me, Mr. Yang?
Oh yeah.
So
And it'll be
terrible.
like, I am now going to.
They're really
Speak with the hammer.
soulless. We hate them. We can't stand them.
So yeah, having Yang Yang there makes it much more festive,
That's true.
much more human. Plus, I was standing.
You were standing. It was fun. We had
Yeah,
signs.
because a lot of time you literally are just like sitting in a dark room staring.
And you're
at
there
it
for like
a while.
40 minutes sometimes before the hit.
Yeah, because they're always like, be there at 2:20, and then you get there and they're like, you go on at 3, and you're like, what am I doing here?
And it's just
Be like, sit in the chair, put the makeup on. You know, you're like, oh,
The fake background behind you.
yeah.
We haven't talked about the wall. This is our wall. It's our Yang Gang wall. So if you ever come to our office, you can sign it. There are videos. We should probably post it. We have videos of the original signatures when it was a very kind of depressing wall, and now it's very cool. All right. What are we doing now? Education or climate
Education,
change?
I think, was the next up. We'll end on climate change because it is an existential threat.
Yeah, that's true. You could argue education is too, but not the same way.
Not the same way, no.
Not the same way. The first question on education is, I love the way it's written. It's from Sasha. She says, "Dear Andrew Yang, how do you plan to improve America's failing education system? Thank you, Sasha." She wrote like a formal letter, which I loved.
Really?
Yeah, I mean the way that it was written.
No, I don't disagree with Sasha. I mean, we're putting a lot of resources to work to very middling at best results, highly uneven based upon different community, different region.
Right.
So many things we can do. Number one, got to pay teachers more because
Amen.
the data clearly shows that good teachers are worth their weight in gold. Data also shows, unfortunately, that we're having a harder time enlisting and retaining quality teachers because they're like burning out and leaving the classroom right and left. So it's not an either or. We need to increase comp, and then we also need to start measuring our economic progress by how our humans are doing. And if you do that, then you see that it might make sense to have lower student-teacher ratios. You know, it's like so.
Right.
It's one thing to pay the teacher more, which we should do yesterday, and then you need to increase staffing. And there are a lot of young people and older people that would love to teach. So that's 1 and 2. Number 3 is we should lighten up on standardized tests. Fact is, we made up the SAT during World War II as a means to determine who not to send to the front lines. It's very dark, but that's the genesis of the SAT. And now we're using the SAT every year, like every year is wartime. And the SAT at this point, unfortunately, is more like a bludgeon crushing the dreams of young people and also forcing teachers to do things that they know aren't in their kids' best interest, rather than some kind of positive identification
And
marker.
you say that as someone good at tests. You were good at tests.
I was good at tests,
Yeah.
yes, and so I can say with authority that they do not measure a lot of things.
Yeah.
They primarily measure access to resources and test taking ability. They don't measure intellect broadly defined, or character, or value, or ability to succeed in life, or like anything that like you would hope that we would care about. So de-emphasize this test, lighten up on them in a big way. Stop acting like everyone's going to go to college, because they're not going to go to, like, it's only 33% of Americans are going to go to college, and that's fairly stable. And so treating everything in high school like college preparation doesn't make sense for 2/3 of American students. What would make more sense for them is, number one, teaching things that are broadly useful in high school. So, it's like, well, you have these essentially what it amounts to college prep subject areas, instead of things like financial literacy and relationship skills and managing tech and the arts and
Right.
like things that are generally broadly useful. One proxy should be, if you can look it up on a smartphone, it should not necessarily be like the main point of emphasis, because kids are smart and they'd be like, I can look at myself on a smartphone. Like, why are you beating me up with it? Instead, it'd be something like, this is actually useful to you. Can you imagine every high school in the country if everyone's getting $1,000 a month at age 18, so every senior is like waiting with bated breath for their 18th birthday, and then be like, and you get taught financial literacy. You think kids would pay attention to that financial literacy course? Heck yes, because they'd be like, I'm getting the Freedom Dividend thanks to President Yang. So like this is gonna be like the most important course I take. Like, you know, you'd be like, you know how you get an A in this course? Invest in your money, your actual money wisely. You know, it's very hard to teach someone financial literacy if they don't have any money, and that's from experience, because I took economics and I didn't understand it at all until you actually had some money to deposit in real life. So more relevant subject matter. Certainly, I love the emphasis on STEM or STEAM, like science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. But the reality is only 7% of American jobs are in STEM fields, and they are not for everyone. Trying to pretend we're going to turn everyone into a coder is not
Learn to code.
an answer. The other thing is, the fact is, I have friends who right now are working on AI that's going to automate basic coding. So if you think about coding as like, oh, you'll always have a job with like coding, it's like, actually, that stuff's kind of automatable. You know, it's like, what you need is problem solving and structured thinking and different things that coding's related to, but it's not like coding as the practical skill is going to be the end all be all. So we have to try and modernize the things we're teaching in high schools and earlier. We need to invest massive levels of resources in technical, vocational, and apprenticeship training. Only 6% of American high school students are in technical tracks. In Germany, that's 59%. So think about that gulf. And this is easier said than done, because if President Yang's like, we're going to have technical training, it's like, you can't overnight just have like a giant lab and workshop and training programs in high schools around the country. That's one reason why we don't do it, because Americans are like, what's the easiest thing we can do? Pretend we're going to send you all to college and like just throw some books in there, and you know, it's like, what's a harder thing to do? Actual technical training, or hook you up with apprenticeships in the community.
Right.
So we have to do the hard thing, because those jobs are going to be much more resilient in the days to come. And one of the jokes I say on the trail is like, can you imagine what it would take to automate a plumber? You know, it's like, imagine having a robot plumber. It's going to be a human plumber for a long time. And plumbers make really good livings. So it's not just plumber, it's HVAC repair, it's line installer, it's like people who can do things at the last mile. Those jobs are very hard to automate.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but a lot of the basic cognitive work is easier to automate than a lot of like the non-repetitive manual work.
Right.
Because it's like in a controlled environment, like a factory, like I can simulate human digits. But if you're talking about like in someone's home, like you can't, like, you know, and like myriad different fittings and pipes, it's like, it's going to be much easier for the human.
Yeah.
One example I use too, like cleaning a hotel room, going to be a human forever. Because
Long
like trying to
time,
figure out like a robot to do that, given the myriad variables involved, it's actually much easier to have a human do it. Not to say that we're gonna like train people to clean hotels rooms, but that's what I mean. It's like that there's like some non-repetitive manual work that's going to be very resilient. So we need to try and equip people for those types of skills, for jobs that will be here for a long, long time to come. Need to try and get college down in price by lightening up the bureaucracies at the college level. I would bring the cost of college down and then forgive a lot of the student loan debt that's outstanding, because you have $1.6 trillion in student loan debt, and that's not sustainable either. Like, you essentially have this massive weight on the economy and the lives and hopes and dreams of millions of Americans, primarily younger Americans, who should be starting families and buying homes and starting businesses and doing things like that, and instead they're paying off these debt loads from degrees that they got years ago that often were marketed to them under false pretenses. So those are some of the big moves in education. As you can tell, there are a few big levers to pull. I'm a huge fan of trying to invest in alternative forms of education and gap years and different things that are not just, hey, we send you to college. And that's one of the things that frustrates me, is that we oversell college in multiple levels, and then we say it's the cost. The cost is part of it, but the fact is there's a 40 to 44% underemployment rate for recent college graduates right now. So even if you're in the top third of Americans who graduate from college, it's not like there's some incredible career waiting for you afterwards. 94% of the new jobs created in the U.S. are temp gig or contract jobs, and 40 to 44% of recent college grads are underemployed. So instead of just hyping up college and being like, do it, college, it's better, obviously, if we don't load you up with debt when you go to college. But you know what might also be better is if we try and equip you for the job that you want to do, and we don't just say college will solve everyone's problems, because it won't very often. The 6-year completion rate right now for college is only 59%. So 41% of the kids who are showing up aren't graduating in 6 years, and they also get the debt because colleges don't forgive debt if you don't graduate.
So to recap, you just threw a lot, which is great.
There was a lot there.
I'll make sure I got them all. Pay teachers more.
Yep.
Less emphasis on tests, specifically SAT.
The staff school's up too.
More teachers.
Yep. Pay them more and get more of them.
More useful skills, financial literacy, arts, problem solving, creative thinking, and less
Relationship management. Yep.
less stuff you can look up on your smartphone.
Yep.
Um,
And more modularization. Like, it is part of the standardized test thing, where one of my boys is autistic, and there are just a lot of neurologically atypical kids in schools now, and the schools don't have the expertise or resources to support them. And that's not really on the school in many ways, because they weren't designed for that. But we have to try and help them catch up to the fact that now atypical is the new normal. And if you're not equipped for it, then we have to do what we can to equip you for it. And there are tens, hundreds of thousands of Americans who would love to help make our kids stronger. But right now, those communities don't have the resources. So we need to try and put the resources into place.
and then you also have less emphasis on college, because only a third of Americans.
Yep.
Make college cheaper, though, if you do want to go.
Yep.
Which you do by forgiving a large part of student debt, but also giving everybody $1,000 a month when they turn 18.
You get $1,000 a month. That helps pay for college. It helps you do something independent. Also, get the tuition down by tying their administrator to student ratios to historical norms.
More emphasis and federal resources towards vocational training.
Oh yeah, big time. It's gonna be me and Mike Rowe saying these are really good jobs.
The guy from Dirty Jobs.
The guy from Dirty Jobs, like, Mike Rowe is right. These are real jobs, people. They're better jobs. I mean, people get some real satisfaction.
I agree. So that's a lot. It's great. I think the Freedom Dividend actually supercharges a lot of this. It's just one of the reasons you support it.
Yeah, it does.
I got a question from Hunter, talking about, it's a longer question in the interest of time. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but what he talks about is the negative effect of social media and smartphones affecting our kids.
Yeah, it's a real problem.
And so when you're president, what actions would you take to increase mental health awareness and education when it comes to tech and smartphones in our school system? And in the home, too, I guess, is that both?
Yeah, the parents in Silicon Valley are among the most enthusiastic about restricting screen time for their
we've
kids.
met them, and it's crazy to hear what they say.
Yeah, and so a friend of mine, Tristan Harris, said that we have the smartest engineers in the country turning supercomputers into dopamine delivery devices for teenagers, and it's been a disaster for their mental health. So we have to try and solve this problem at the app level. So Tristan now runs a nonprofit called Time Well Spent. I would create a new department of the attention economy to allow design ethicists like Tristan to get into the guts of the apps and say, look, you made 20 design choices to maximize engagement, and that's what you were doing to make as much money as possible. We're going to have you dial back 10 of these choices, and then to the extent that schools can have policies that help equip parents and kids to manage technology in healthier ways, then we should, because we have a mental health crisis in this country, at every level. I mean, deaths of despair are now record highs, suicides record highs, life expectancy declining because people are overdosing on drugs and committing suicide at record levels.
Right.
So it's everyone. But among young people, it's a particular problem. And so if we can equip parents, teenagers, and schools with better technology habits, and then invest in this mental health infrastructure that we all know is dramatically under-resourced right now, and destigmatize mental health problems, let people know, like, look, it's okay. I mean, everyone struggles at certain points. I would try and destigmatize mental health problems at the highest levels. I would have a psychologist in the White House and just say, look, it's perfectly normal. My brother's a psychology professor, so I know how helpful mental health resources can be. And, just the way I'm open about my son being autistic, I think we should be open about the struggles that everyone experiences in terms of their mental health and wellness.
Right. You just did an interview with the New York Times talking about on the social media, or like the tech and data, and talking about he asked you if adding more more senior officials at the FTC.
This is an acai bowl. I love acai bowls.
But adding more regulators, how would that help you?
Well, we were joking because it's like if you added more of like current FCC regulators, they'd be like, oh,
FCC, yeah.
So, I mean, you need people like Tristan who can actually go toe to toe with the folks who are designing these apps, and then figure out what the variables are, and then what the appropriate calibration is.
Talk about, at least for education, and maybe we'll do some calls after Patricia ready, but we were talking about earlier, but the importance of arts in education and how you would maybe approach that as a part of the holistic aspect of teaching a child.
Oh, yeah. The data is very clear that arts education is a massive value driver for kids. It drives positive outcomes in so many dimensions. Mm-hmm. And of course, in today's society, if you have to do a cutback, art's probably the first thing to go.
Exactly.
So we should go the other direction, where we should be emphasizing arts to a much higher degree. And I know that artists have the same impact on communities as entrepreneurs when we're all adults, or probably kids too, where if you have artists in a community, then economic growth actually follows from their presence in the same way as if you have a group of entrepreneurs settle someplace. It's very clear, it's documented. So this is an example of us not investing in the right things. We should be redoubling arts programs in schools around the country. It's better for kids' development, it's better for their enjoyment, and it's better for our economy over time.
As someone who did musicals growing up, I appreciate that policy of yours, Andrew.
Yeah. So if you think, Zach here was the star of his high school play.
This is not content for this.
He was also
segment.
In a college a cappella
This is
group.
not the time for this. I'm retired. This is about Ask Andrew. This is about you.
So you know that movie Pitch Perfect?
No.
That was
Good movie though.
About Zach's a cappella group, except they just switched the gender because they were the national champions.
Oh my gosh, we're not. Anyway, not talking about it.
They produced the album of the year in a cappella world, which to me says national champion.
I do say Anna Kendrick's pretty cool. If she was Yang Gang, that'd be fun.
Anna, are you watching this? No, I don't know if you are.
You're calling Anna Kendrick?
No.
No, we're calling people. Jeez, fake news. Okay, we are gonna call. Who are we calling?
What we should do is we should look through our donor database and see if there's someone named Anna Kendrick.
That would be. That's how we found Nick Cage.
Leah.
Working on that one too.
Leah?
Leah.
All right, we're calling another donor.
We're calling. Donate up. It's happening.
Hi, Leah. This is Andrew Yang. I'm calling from our live stream.
Oh my God.
Hey.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm watching you pick up the phone on the live stream right now.
And you're probably hearing yourself, and then Zach is now waving. There's probably a tiny delay. But yeah, it's you. Thank you so much for supporting us, Leah. That's incredible.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for calling me.
No problem. So excited to have you. How'd you find out about the campaign?
I think like a year ago, my husband said something like, "There's a guy, Andrew Yang, and he's interested in UBI." And then around like May, I just started getting sucked in, and now I'm just addicted to like Reddit, and I've been doing text banking and phone banking.
Well, thank you,
Wow.
Leah. You're incredible. So this is Ask Andrew. So any burning question you have, go ahead and ask, and I'll do my best to answer it.
Oh man, okay, my heart is racing. I think I'm interested in, there are so many issues there are so many ways in which the Freedom Dividend helps women,
Yes.
especially single mothers. But I'm interested in which other women's issues are closest to your heart outside of the Freedom Dividend.
Ooh.
Oh,
Want me to hold it?
oh yeah, you can hold
Just
it.
make your life easier.
Sure. So you're right that Freedom Dividend is the main way I talk about women's issues. When I talk to women leaders at the DNC meeting, one of the things I said is like, look, it was only as an adult that I realized just how fundamentally anti-woman and anti-family our society is. That the entire list of countries that don't have paid family leave for new moms is us, Lesotho, Swaziland, Papua New Guinea, and Liberia, and that's the whole list. And like, we should never be on that list. So it's very deep. I'm now convinced it's deeply ingrained, and that women are so often fighting for fair treatment in organizations that are themselves also very anti-women. And the message I had to women at this forum was that that we need to go much, much bigger in terms of trying to find ways to rewrite the rules so that they work for women, not just within organizations, but society-wide. And so that's the Freedom Dividend, yes, but that's also trying to redefine how we measure progress. And when you have a vision for the 21st century economy that revolves around human well-being, you realize that it's going to have to be women that lead the way. That this is not something where we're going to be able to make happen without women just doing the work and showing us what the future can look like. So it's the Freedom Dividend, yes, but it's about actually evolving our measurements of progress. And I think that naturally relates to what women do, which is make us stronger, better, healthier, like smarter, wiser, more whole.
Awesome. I'm going to show my mom this clip because I've been trying to parent bank my mom for a while, and maybe that you can say hi, Mom, and she'll loop in.
Sure thing. Hey, Leah's mom, you should be very proud of your daughter. She's wonderful. And, when she reaches out on behalf of Andrew Yang, just know that appreciate the heck out of everything you do. Because as a parent myself, I think any parent that produces an awesome adult child did something very, very right.
Thank you for calling. Enjoy the rest of the live stream.
Thank you, Leah. We'll see you soon, hopefully.
Thank you.
Yeah, bye. Bye.
Bye, Leah. That was cool. I love that answer.
That's true, though. I mean, like, without women leading us toward the 21st century economy, we're kind of sunk.
You say one of my favorite lines you have is like when too many guys get together.
If you leave too many guys alone for too long, we become idiots and morons. And like most guys know this. It's
I
like
mean, we've been here 10 hours, and I would say we're getting closer to more morons.
I don't know.
as it
We
goes.
have Patricia and
Yeah,
others
Patricia.
here keeping us sane. But like too many guys left
Yeah.
alone for too long, like we just become like idiots. Totally.
Yeah.
Do you want to call Carlos?
Let's do climate change. Make sure we get it.
Yeah.
And,
And then we'll call him.
oh no, we give it away who we're calling next. No, it's fine. We'll find someone, or we'll call Carlos.
Climate change. Let's do it. Let me pull up a good question because there were a whole bunch.
Let's do some random. Or are we doing rapid fire, or what are we doing?
Let's start with a high level, and then I can do a bunch of rapid fire because you have a big climate vision,
Okay, this is fun
right?
rapid fire.
And then I thought this was interesting. I like this question. This was from Brendan. I think on Reddit, or I think it's on Reddit. Brendan said, as someone who believes climate change is the most important issue we face, Why should I pick you over other Democrats or senators, or particularly Senator Sanders or Senator Warren?
What's his name?
Brendan.
So Brendan, it's a good question. Climate change is the greatest existential threat we face, and I'm aligned with Senator Sanders and Senator Warren on most of what we would do about climate change. I think the way in which I differ from them is I believe that it's even worse than we think, where we are decades behind the curve. The last 4 years have been the 4 warmest years in recorded history. July was the hottest month in recorded history. And we have to go much, much bigger. So what does going much, much bigger mean? I would do everything I believe that Senator Sanders and Senator Warren would do, but I believe I would do more. So what do I mean by doing more? So we have to reduce emissions in our own economy, yes. We have to export green energy technologies to other parts of the world as quickly as possible because other countries account for 85% of global emissions. So even if we were to get our 15% down to zero, which would be incredible, like we're still going to be facing a warming planet unless we export sustainable, renewable sources of energy to Africa and the developing world.
Yeah.
And we have the means to do so. We subsidize other exports. I would move our people to higher ground, which is something that I don't believe Senator Sanders and Senator Warren are proposing. We know if there's a natural disaster, a hurricane, flooding, storms, wildfire, who suffers the most? It's poor people, which overlaps with, unfortunately, people of color in this country, because they are not able to just get into a car and drive away to safety, or they don't have the right shelter or resources. So you put $1,000 a month into our hands, then we're all able to protect ourselves better. And we should invest billions in trying to make our communities more resilient. We should accept the fact. I was just in New Hampshire, and they already have hundreds of buildings that are flooding regularly. They had a multi-million-dollar shrimping business go to zero outside of Portsmouth. Yep. So saying that it's like, oh, this is like the future. It's like, no, it's present. We should just start investing now in greater resilience. I am for trying to not just do less of the bad, but actually do more of the good. Yeah. I think we should reforest vast tracts of land, either within our own country or outside of our country. We saw what happened with the Amazon burning. It's like, that's because they have economic incentives to deforest. We should create economic incentives to reforest. Yeah. We should be reseeding the oceans. The Atlantic Ocean is losing 48% of its marine biomass every year, which is catastrophic over time. So we need to reseed ocean beds, do more on that side. Here are some things that are controversial. This may make some people upset. I think that we have to have everything on the table, and that includes nuclear. We should be investing in next generation nuclear energy that can be cleaner, safer than what has gone before. But if we're in a crisis, which we are, you can't leave possibilities off the table that could help us move towards renewable energy faster. And the other thing that I am for that some people might dislike is, like, I think we need to invest in the study of geoengineering and reversing and mitigating the harm of climate change as quickly as possible. Because right now, lone scientists are tinkering with geoengineering at the margins. And geoengineering can mean something as benign as planting trees. That's geoengineering. It's like, I planted some trees, captured some carbon. It can mean other things too.
Yeah, like space mirrors.
Yeah, like, or like atmospheric spray to reflect sunlight. It can mean like a bunch of different things. But the fact is, there are scientists in different parts of the world that are working on aspects of this, and we need to try and create a global consensus as quickly as possible. Yeah. Because if we don't, then you're going to have rogue countries just going off and doing it 20 years from now.
Without us. Yeah.
Without us. Because, if you're, frankly, China, and you're like, hey, let's geoengineer, like, they're not going to check with us. Like, that's not their MO. And you can imagine some of these Pacific Oceans that are literally sinking beneath the waves. Like, they can't geoengineer because they don't have the resources. But if they could, would they?
Pacific Islands?
Yeah, it's like, sure they would. I mean, it's like my entire island's disappearing. Like, I'll like take some shots at the atmosphere. So we have to try and get scientists together globally. I would convene a global geoengineering summit ASAP. And the fact is, this stuff's been happening informally underneath the surface. Right. But we need to formalize it, get some proper resources, organize it, and start trying to build a global consensus. And these are things that Senator Sanders and Senator Warren, I don't believe, are either keen to or support. The last thing, which I don't think anyone has supported except for, I don't know if anyone's come out for, I think we need a constitutional amendment to protect the environment.
Yeah.
So these are some of the things that I think make me somewhat different. I believe somewhat more, you would say like alarmist or serious-minded. Like I think that we're in for calamity on climate change almost regardless of what we do, and we have to start protecting our people as quickly as possible. It's like a situation where you can spend 100 billion to save 500 billion. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
because the 500 billion in harm, or the 5 trillion in harm, or the tens of thousands of lost lives, it's all coming down the pike at us. You know, you can see it. You can see it in the flooding and the storms and everything else. So to the extent that seems like very dark and dystopian, it was Nate, right?
It was Brendan.
Brendan, sorry about that. To the extent that seems dark and dystopian and alarmist, Brendan, that is my point of view. To the extent that you think that's more practical and on point, then maybe I'm your guy on climate change.
A friendly reminder that if you're donating, we are going to call more people.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. But it is a darker topic. One thing you said on the trail a lot, Andrew, is you say, I used to think we were screwing over my grandkids, and now I think I'm screwing over us and my kids. Did I say that right?
Yeah, no, that's right. I used to think we were screwing over our grandkids, and now I think we're screwing ourselves and our kids.
So we hear this like we should be alarmist, right? It always bothers me when
the data is very stark. I mean, Greenland just said their ice pack is melting at the rate projected in 2070 today, 51 years sooner than projected. It's like the worst thing ever. The UN just said we're going to be okay if everyone goes vegetarian, which is not in the cards. These like any objective study, like you look at and it's like this is worse than the worst projections. And the fact is, the way a lot of these ice caps and glaciers melt, they're like ice cubes in a cup of soda, where it's like you can't even tell it's melting at first, and when it melts, it starts going quicker. That's what's going on with a lot of these ice packs around the world, where
terrifying.
Yeah, it's like the rate of the melt rate actually is accelerating.
Now, on that note, let's have a positive note. Anything else you want to add on climate change?
It's worse than you think. Move to higher ground. It's like what are you going to do?
We can try everything, right?
We got to try everything.
We need to lead. We need bold leadership. I think
that's a crisis, and we're only 15% of global emissions. We're going to have to do
world.
some serious global coordination and exportation of green tech.
And top priority as president.
Yeah. The other part of it too is like it's very hard to get arms around climate change if no one can pay their bills. Where you go to a family and say, "Hey, fight climate change," they're like, "I can't pay next month's bills. Like next year or 10 years from now, it has to wait." And so if you get the boot off of everyone's throat and say, "Look, your future is assured now. Let's get after climate change," you get much more energy and consensus around it than if you live in a country where 78% of us are living paycheck to paycheck, and half can't afford an unexpected $400 bill. And then when you say climate change, you know what they think? More expensive.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay. And then they're like, can't be a problem. They like shut down.
Yeah.
So we have to get people's heads up.
Let's do it. Who we calling?
Carlos.
Oh,
You want to call him, I think?
I think I do. Add to contacts. That's not
No.
what I want. I got it.
Very confusing. It's not his fault. It's the phone.
Tech campaign.
Hello?
Hi, Carlos. It's Andrew Yang. I'm here with Zach Grauman. We're calling you from the live stream.
Hey, Carlos.
Hey guys, been watching all day with the wife.
You're watching all day?
Can you see yourself now?
Oh, yeah. no, between working and,
That makes sense, man. Oh, good for you. That's awesome. You have a child.
Oh, hello?
Can you hear us? Hang on.
What'd you
Can
do?
you hear us, Carlos?
Yeah, hey there.
All right, cool.
Yeah, we can hear you. So, Carlos, do you have a burning question that I can answer on the Ask Andrew Anything?
Yeah, I've really been wanting to know some more specifics on what your plan is on student loan debt, because my wife and I both went to school, and we're doing our best. We're both entrepreneurs, and so it's something that's kind of weighing us down. And if there's something that can be be done about it, it'd be fantastic.
I bet. Where are we reaching you, Carlos? Where do you live?
Southwest Missouri.
Wow, so awesome. Well, I feel for you and your wife. There are millions of Americans who are in the same boat. We're up to 1.6 trillion in student loan debt, and I would want to forgive the vast majority because we need people like you starting businesses and starting families and buying homes and not paying off life-changing debt for years and years and years. So to me, this is like choosing your people over the debt, and to me, it's a very easy choice. So I would forgive the lion's share of this debt, and then I would try and get the cost down for people who are coming to school after you, so that they don't have the same problem in a number of years.
That's awesome. Yeah.
Also, as you know, $1,000 a month would help too, because with you and your wife, that would be $24K a year, and then when your son or daughter gets to be of age, it's another $1,000 a month for him or her.
Yeah, we talk a lot about how much, the Freedom Dividend would help us be able to push our businesses to kind of that next point. So,
What kinds of businesses are you starting? You want to give a shout out on the live stream? Maybe there'll be like a plug.
yeah, sure. I'm a professional artist, so I have an art studio, and I go under Pirate Monkey Painting. And of course, my wife is starting a daycare. So
Wow.
she was a teacher. She worked at a school district in more rural Missouri that's really suffering from the opioid epidemic right now, and it just got to the point after we had our son that it was just too much. So she loves kids to death though, and she was having a hard time finding an opportunity, and so she thought she'd create her own.
That's so needed, man. Everyone needs good daycare. Everyone needs good daycare. And I sensed your wife would be a champ because she's a teacher that loves kids. So your artwork, you said it's firemonkeypainting.com?
Pirate Monkey.
Pirate Monkey.
Piratemonkeypainting.com. So Yang Gang, you should check out Carlos's website, piratemonkeypainting.com, because he's a professional artist, and I sense it's going to be good.
Pretty cool. Really cool.
Wait, Zach actually has your website up, so he's attesting to your talents, Carlos.
Very cool.
Yeah, we love it.
So Andrew, you should know this. Andrew wanted to do every hour with a different theme. Like let's do the 7 to 8 o'clock hour as pirate themed.
Yeah, we're gonna get like a pirate
that
hat
type
on and
of
stuff.
Example. I said that for next time, maybe. These are the conversations we have on the road. Andrew's brilliant to questionable ideas, and we discuss them.
Guys,
Usually Andrew wins.
Pirate Monkey Painting is very impressive.
It's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, we're looking at your work right now, Carlos, and as like a sci-fi nerd and geek, I think it's so cool. You've got like
Pretty talented, man.
I mean, this is like the sort of thing, like these were the kind of works of art that were on covers of books I would just buy based on the cover. Like I would just be walking around as like a 13-year-old being like, that is the picture on the cover of this book, and I'm now buying this book. That's what your work reminds me of.
Thank you so much.
Very cool, man.
Yeah, I thought I heard somewhere that you played D&D when you were a kid. So if you want something painted, let me know.
Seriously, man, that's what it looks like. Oh man, my brother was the dungeon master, and then there was me, and then a couple of kids in the neighborhood. So yeah, it was true. I played. That's right.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you, Carlos. Congrats to you and your wife. Thank you so much for the belief and faith in me and the campaign. It means a ton. And hopefully we'll see you on the trail, and I'll be able to thank you in person.
Hopefully, yeah, we're gonna try to get up to Iowa. So.
Woo! November 1. Or actually, it would be better if you moved there, registered to vote. And
We'll
voted-
settle
voted
for you
on
making
February
it November
4th.
1.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just saying.
We're doing the best we can. My wife has relatives up there, so she's letting them know about the message.
I love it. Thank you.
Phenomenal. Yeah. Thank you, Carlos. If we see you November 1, make sure and say hello.
Please
All
do.
right, will do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
All right. No, that was awesome.
That was cool. Good thing his art was cool. Imagine if it was
I
kinda
felt
weird.
like
But not weird. Like
I felt like
edgy.
anything called Pirate Monkey was gonna be awesome.
That's true.
Plus, I feel like the Yang Gang has such a high level of creativity. It's like if you were a bad artist, you would not join the Yang Gang.
So, if you're a bad artist, you wouldn't join the Yang Gang.
I mean,
We only want good ones.
I only want the good artists.
I've just been really impressed by the general
No, they all have been really, really good. It's
talent
remarkable.
level and
The
imagination.
creative community is definitely interested in Andrew Yang and the Yang Gang. And
Can you imagine the level of creativity post Freedom Dividend? Oh my gosh.
It'd be remarkable.
Yes, it'd be like a whole new era, the new Renaissance. The new Renaissance.
So Dylan asked online, he said, would you make Dungeons and Dragons mandatory in schools starting in elementary school?
There really would be worse things to make mandatory because that thing's really good for your imagination.
I hope we don't make it mandatory, man.
20-sided dice
There are better things to fight
in
for.
every hand. Everyone roll.
Never played. Don't think I will. I will play. If you want to play sometime, I'll play. You
No,
have to
dude,
teach me a lot.
you cannot go back in time. Zach.
I'm out, man.
That's
I watch Stranger Things.
That's pretty good.
They like play that a version of that, right?
Yeah, they do.
What we got, man? Let's go. I want to. So it's 8:10. We've hit 10 hours. We're gonna do one more call. We're gonna do one more call.
in the
So if
lightning
you
round?
haven't done it yet, we're going one more.
We did 10 hours.
Oh, yeah,
The
camera.
10-hour marathon.
So
when I
be-
said at the debate, 10 hours like this, remember that I think I did like a 10 sign. And now we're at the 10-hour mark. And this is extra credit. It's hour 11, and we're going to call someone, and then we're going to do lightning
We're
round.
gonna do calls. Do we have stuff for lightning round, guys?
Yeah, just drop some in.
You drop some in. Wow, we're gonna do lightning round from the team.
Or you can tweet.
Oh yeah, I've
something.
got all these.
Lightning
up here.
round.
Okay, lightning round's good. We're gonna do a call, and then I actually have a closing question for you from me. That's like actually from me.
Okay.
So let's. Oh, this is freaking great. Okay. I want to figure out. Okay, Andrew, dogs or cats?
Dogs, clearly.
Yeah, me too, man. We did that at we did one of those games at our offsite with our staff, and if you go to one side, you're a cat person, the other side, you're a dog person.
Anyone?
We're like a
cat
90% dog person campaign.
That's
Just
right.
FYI.
We must
Not
go-
90%, but it's.
We must go to the other
Vast
10% and say we're sorry, it didn't
You're
work
out.
out.
These are just.
Kidding.
Okay,
Love
we got a whole
everyone.
range of things. Is you're not gonna agree with this? Is Christian McCaffrey the best running back in the NFL?
Come on, Saquon, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say you're gonna say Saquon.
I'd have to say Saquon.
He's a Giants fan. Are you a Nicki Minaj fan?
You know, I mean, not like a huge Nicki Minaj fan, but I like some of her work, and like certainly, like glad she's out there doing it.
Favorite female artist?
Man, like I have to admit, like I'm sort of a sucker for, like some of the work that's coming out now. It's like I've been listening to, I listened to Taylor Swift's new album like by accident through the campaign.
Yeah, Carly on our team would not, but and Shelby, they won't let you not listen to Taylor Swift. Keep going. Sorry.
So I've seen Katy Perry in concert because I have friends who are big fans. I guess you're not allowed to be fans of both Taylor Swift and Katy Perry. I don't know.
That's
They're
fine.
made up now.
They
They
made
made
up
up?
now, then I guess it's all right.
Stuff
Yeah,
I'm
and like
not keeping
Firework
up
was
with
one
on
of
this
our
campaign.
wedding songs. So
Firework was?
Yeah.
That's cool.
So I like
Great
Katy
song.
Perry. I saw Miley Cyrus perform once, and I like her. I saw Jessie J perform. I like her. I like Camila Cabello. Like,
Oh,
she's
yeah.
like immensely talented. If I had to pick one of these artists as a, I'm gonna go outside the box and say like I really like Florence and the Machine,
I was
which
gonna
isn't
say
quite like a female
I thought you were gonna
artist,
say-
but
or
like
Halsey, you love
Florence.
her too.
I do like Halsey too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say Florence and the Machine.
Cool. Is the inclusion of a pickle a major factor when deciding whether or not to order a sandwich?
I never pay attention to whether they're going to include a pickle, but I'm glad when they do.
Yeah. And sometimes when you're not paying attention, I've stolen your pickle a couple times.
Yeah, and I don't
I
notice.
freaking love
I don't really
pickle
care.
stuff, yeah.
I don't care too much.
You don't care that much.
I'll eat it if it's there. Glad it's there. If it's not there, it's fine. That's why I feel about a lot of things, actually. Like fairly indifferent to many types of additions and condiments and accompaniments. That's how we can live in protein shakes for a while and stuff.
Okay, a couple fun ones. Favorite. We can get to ask you favorite. You can say I hate this question. So favorites plural movies. It's tough to pick one.
I mean, the number one's Shawshank Redemption, my favorite
Yeah,
movie
you
of all
talk about
time.
that.
Yeah.
Is that because it's actually your favorite, or because it was a really good movie and it was just on TNT? Or
No,
TBS
I saw that
over
thing
and over?
right after it actually came out in real life, and it had like a big impact, and I just loved it. And then just nothing ever beat it, so it just stood the test of time. And then the fact it's on TNT all the time is like a nice perk.
It's like a nice reminder of its work of art. Yeah, I'm with you. Someone asked if I've been able to get you to join the Bills Mafia yet.
I certainly hope I root for the Bills when they
You
play the
sympathize.
Patriots.
Yeah, you
yeah,
sympathize
and like
with
I have a soft spot for upstate New York generally. I mean, I know Buffalo's like Western New York, but just I mean, I was born in upstate New York, so
Yeah, true.
like it's like I've got like a hierarchy of teams, and like the Bills are definitely higher up than a lot of others at this point.
My family, we have a family kind of family reunion in Buffalo every year, and we don't get a lot of days off. But he's like,
Yeah, go.
I mean, let me go to that. So
As long as you cover yourself in ketchup and then jump off of a van
break a table?
and break a table. Those
my
are the
brother
requirements.
probably will if I let him. Couple more, and then we'll do a call. This is a good one. If you had to build, you can do this a couple ways because I don't know what you have more fun with. If you had to build either an all-time or a current NBA starting five, five players you'd pick? You can do all-time or you can do today.
I guess all time
Okay.
will come to mind for me. So you have to say LeBron and Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
And then you'd probably want like a modern big man who can shoot. So it's like an all-time great. I guess like Kevin Garnett comes to mind for defensive purposes. And then let's throw Ray Allen in there as like an all-time shooter.
Just like a,
Because you want just
want
one dead eye,
Yeah.
one dead eye shooter, and then one dirty work rebounder type. And so you might as well just, I guess Tim Duncan would be number 5 on that
Would you
list.
run LeBron at the point then? Like, who's your point guard?
Yeah.
LeBron
LeBron's
at
the
point.
point all the time, and then you just have Ray Allen and MJ as your shooters. Even though MJ isn't like an all-time great shooter, but I mean in terms of outside shot, the
Right.
modern game is kind of funky for MJ, but you gotta have MJ on the all-time team.
Yeah.
I'm missing some people too, but those are some of the guys who came to mind.
We have Bird, Magic.
Maybe throw Dominique on there because he's Yang Gang.
We thought he was going to come today, and I apologize, Yang Gang, for the false alarm, but he had a conflict.
We'll see him in
do something.
Atlanta.
We'll see him in Atlanta.
Freaking human highlight reel.
He's amazing. Star Wars or Star Trek?
Star Wars. It's
Did we
weird.
just lose it? We just lost the Star Trek vote.
I
hope not.
so
Star Trek
I hesitated there.
I know you did.
Because Star Wars movies much more impactful, but Star Trek Next Generation, the TV show, I thought was phenomenal, and so that's why I hesitated because they're different things. Like you'd say Star Wars movies well over Star Trek, and then TNG was the best thing on TV for a while.
Our comms check just said half the staff just quit based on that, so good to know.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Hopefully the other half will
That's
work just as
brutal.
hard. Work harder.
Pick up the staff.
Make up
Pick up
for
the
the half
slack.
that does quit. I mean, I love Star Trek. I'm a Trekkie. I mean, I think there's a lot to love, but
Yikes.
if you had to just compare those two, I mean,
Do you like the new Star Trek movies?
that's what I'm saying. It's like the new Star Trek movies are
I like Chris Pine.
like good,
That may be lame,
but not
they're not.
not like generation defining or anything. You
Okay.
know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
like though you could argue that nothing out of Star Wars has been generation defining after the original trilogy, but
Okay, we're gonna do a call in a second. Last one is like, when do we get more scarves and hoodies in the merch store? Because winter is coming, and I can answer this. The answer is very soon. We got hoodies coming soon.
I think it's like this weekend.
Came out.
Scarves are out. Scarves are there.
Oh my
Hoodies coming
gosh,
soon.
Yang Gang fall/winter gear is
gonna be
here.
great. I've been asking for this stuff.
I should model it.
You should model it. Yeah. So sometimes I just have to say yes to him to avoid fighting, to pick my battles, So yes, you should totally model it.
What do you say? Hear that? He's like fake agreeing with me.
It's been too many hours.
It's been, dude. We're fritzing here. All right, we got a call.
Yeah.
We're doing it. This could be you. Look at the camera. You can see it.
We're calling from the
Oh, is it?
room. It's Ashley.
Hello?
Hi, Ashley. This is Andrew Yang calling from our live stream. I'm here with Zach Grauman.
Are you kidding me?
No, very much
Very
not.
real.
Just know that you're being listened to by thousands of people right now live. So just know that.
Okay.
We're waving for you and at you, our guest.
We're waving at you, yeah. But Ashley, thank you so much for your support. We appreciate it
Oh my God.
more than you know.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys deserve it. You've earned it.
Oh, thank you. So you're in Georgia, is that right?
That's right. I live in Atlanta, but I'm
Cool.
from South Carolina.
Fantastic. Two great places. We are coming your way November 20th, and we're going to have some awesome events down there in line with the next debate.
Waiting with bated breath.
Woo! It's going to be great. So this is the Ask Andrew Anything, and since you donated, we called you. We'd love to take any question you have under the sun.
Okay, well, being from South Carolina, I'm worried about South Carolina. I'm wondering what your strategy is because there are communities with less access to social media or the internet who aren't getting your message, and the Freedom Dividend would dramatically transform the lives for many of these South Carolinians, and they don't even know about it. So how are you going to reach these people? Because I think you need boots on the ground there.
Ashley, you are so savvy because everything you just said is 100% correct. South Carolina is a different voting environment than the other states because there aren't as many people who are paying close attention to politics. And so what you just said is 100% accurate. So we need to reach people where they are. Number one is boots on the ground. Number two is television because that's still the best way to reach lots of people quickly. And so we realize that South Carolina is different terrain for us. And we're making investments accordingly. So you should just know that what you're seeing is completely consistent with what we're seeing, and we're planning towards it.
Okay, so what can I do to help?
Well, what you are already doing is awesome. It sounds like you have a lot of family and friends in South Carolina.
I do. My mom met you.
Oh, wait, I think I remember meeting your mom.
She met you at the Jamboree.
Jamboree? Oh, this happened.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. That's fantastic. So, personal outreach from you and your mom and friends and family actually goes a very long way because people listen to their friends and neighbors first and foremost. And we are putting together more canvassing and ground troops in South Carolina, but personal referrals are always the first thing that moves mountains.
Wonderful.
We've got a long way to go, but it's very, very doable. And one of the things we found in South Carolina is when people find out about Andrew Yang in South Carolina, it catches on very, very quickly. So,
Yeah, we have a lot of work to do, but we have a lot of potential there. We just have like this awesome state director in South Carolina.
Heidi, she's a badass. Yeah.
Who's tremendous, and she knows what the levers are. So yeah, please do let your mom know and your friends and family know that they're going to see a lot of growth in the Yang Gang in South Carolina in the days ahead.
And our buddy Jermaine.
And Big Jermaine.
Yes, I follow Jermaine on Twitter. So when you come to Atlanta, are there going to be any rallies or anything that the public will be able to attend? Because I know that it's going to be impossible to get into the debate.
The answer is yes. We're going to do a public event in Atlanta. And you're right. Like, getting everyone into the debate's not going to happen. So we're going to do something in Atlanta proper.
I hope that Yang Gang is represented there because I want us there cheering you on. But I know that we won't be able to. So I'm hoping that there's some alternative venue for us.
Yeah, we're going to do something in Atlanta. We have it on the drawing board, but I'm confident it's going to be quite the blowout and gathering. Woo.
Awesome.
Thank you for calling.
I love you guys so much. Thank you for doing what you're doing for this country. We need you so badly.
Thank you, Ashley. We need you too, and please say thank you to your mom for us.
Okay, I will.
Thanks, Ashley.
You're the best. Thank you, Ashley.
Bye-bye.
That's so fun. We're calling so many
I wish
people
we
that
called
like we
people.
actually have,
Some we've met.
on the road.
That's
I
crazy.
mean, like I think I remember Ashley's mom actually.
Yeah. So, Andrew, here we are. We made it. It's been a long day. You've answered a lot of questions. And you know what's crazy is you've done 10 hours and we still didn't hit every topic a president is asked.
Oh, we didn't hit any.
President
You mean
Trump.
we didn't answer all the 20,000 questions we got?
We did. So close.
It's like 30,000. I think I.
There's
did
a whale with 30,000 now.
I think I did
You're
the
trending,
math.
You've been trending on Twitter all day.
And then I did the math, and that if you assume like sleep and 1 minute per question, it would take something like 4 weeks or something. I can't remember. Like I'd have to check my
That's what he was
figures,
doing
but-
during the breaks, guys. Just FYI. Here's what I'd like to close with. Essentially, is my question for you that I want you to share. So one of my favorite part of you, not just as a candidate, but as a business leader and then a nonprofit and social entrepreneur, was you refuse to lead without a vision. You know what I'm saying? Like you always have like, this is where we're going. You talk about like, you've used the hockey analogy. You need to skate where the puck is going, not where the puck is. So, and like the $1,000 a month, while it's a signature issue and super important, it will help people directly. It's actually not what you're really running on. You're running on a broader vision. So do you mind, like for the Yang Gang, for those who are Yang Gang curious, as you just tuned in, or just for the record, as quick, as concisely as you can in some ways, but as long as you want, what is that vision for us, for your kids, for the Yang Gang, for the entire country?
Yeah, the Freedom Dividend is definitely the game-changing policy, but all policy has to lead somewhere.
Yeah.
And so the question is, what does society look like with a Freedom Dividend? That there's a fundamental shift we have to make where we start thinking bigger, where we value ourselves independently of the market's value of us, where we put our energies to solving the real problems of this era, where we don't have this constant mindset of scarcity that turns us against each other. And it's all doable if enough of us get together and say, look, there's no need for this level of poverty and deprivation in the richest country in the history of the world. We can solve for that. And the thing that excites me the most is that there are a number of problems we're facing that are really, really difficult to solve. Like a lot of them are very, very thorny. Eradicating poverty is actually the easiest thing because it's essentially a choice we can make. If we say, as a democracy, hey, we're going to have a dividend of $1,000 a month, then we can make that happen for tens, hundreds of millions of us very, very quickly. And what starts out as a pipe dream can become a reality very, very quickly. And so then after we do that, then we start looking around and saying, oh my gosh, like what are we going to do with the newfound health, flexibility, optimism, generosity, spirit, and that society will be what we can get excited about. That's the vision, really.
Right.
And that society is much more hopeful, much more human, much more aware of its own challenges and what the real problems are. That's the vision we're fighting for. That's the society. And we can get there. Just all we have to do is win this election and then rewrite the rules of the economy, which we can do. I mean, we originally wrote the rules of this economy somehow, and and so we can do this very quickly. Change can happen very, very quickly. That's the vision. To the extent there's a name for it, I've called it human-centered capitalism, where the economy revolves around our own health and well-being and how our kids are doing and our mental health and how our air and water are. I mean, that's one name for it. That's a vision that I'm really confident we can achieve.
It's what we're fighting for.
It's what we're fighting for.
So here we go, guys. From the bottom of my heart, and Andrew's heart, and our staff's heart. And
I just got to give a shout out to Zach in particular, because Zach has it so rough Zach has to do so many of the things that I do, and then when I get to be a diva candidate and be like, oh, you know, where's my coconut water or something like that, like, then Zach has to put out fires, you know, while I'm like, I must like attend to my, you know, I don't know what affectation I'm pretending to have, but so Zach to me is like managing two incredible loads. So let's give a shout out to Zach.
Thanks, man.
And the team too is like. Shout out to my team too with the Yang Gang.
So
Zach.
Patricia and John, I definitely will. So Patricia and John, Matt, we love you guys. Thank you. Katie behind the scenes. There's a lot of work going on in this laptop.
A lot of work.
A lot of stuff going on. Eric and our entire digital team have been cranking away. So this stuff we make it look so easy, but there's like a lot of work that goes in. I mean, like streaming on 7 different platforms today is actually a lot of work. So I love you all. I love the team, Yang Gang. We love you. A couple things before we go. I got some fun news. We love the Yang Gang, and so we love let's call it bringing the best out of the Yang Gang. So we're gonna do a video contest because we've seen some really badass videos.
Tremendous.
My favorite ones. I mean, there's a lot of good ones. The Yang Gang Rising one, like, still gives me chills. Like, my family found that before me, and they're like, have been running, like, sprinting to this video. So here's what we're gonna do. If you go to right now,
Are you gonna take
right
that
now,
joke?
if you go to yang2020.com/video contest, one word, video contest.
Should we show it to him?
Sure, why not? This is what we do.
I mean, that'll explain
This
it
is
to
what the
him.
notes I've been getting all day have been written in above average chicken scratch from Patricia.
Slightly
This is
above
better.
average.
She's not bad. I'll just keep holding my talk. So, yang2020.com/video contest. What's going on? We're going to give you clips and stuff you can use to make awesome videos. But then you could obviously add your own stuff, right? Get as creative as you possibly want.
They can't add their own clips, but they could add their own, like,
Twist music,
Yeah.
and that's
Make
what
a
that's
video.
mean. Yeah,
Do whatever.
do what you gotta do. And the winner is going to be aired at our Yangapalooza in Iowa on November 1st. So all the rules, all the details, everything you need to know, yang2020.com/video contest. I'm thrilled about this because
And then, of course, like, I'll tweet it and promote it like the winner. It's like, you know, your work will be seen by millions.
by millions of Yang Gangers. Actually, it will be really cool.
It'll certainly be seen by, like, you know, millions of people, in part because, like, all the political press will see it.
That's true. And also, like, I think what I love about this, what I love about our digital team, I love about our people, is that we're not going to sit up here and be pretentious thinking like we can make the best videos. So you guys, like, why does this campaign resonate with you? Why is it important to you? What are the things what are the stories and pieces of this campaign we're not telling well enough? Tell it better than us. That's great. So, yang2020.com/video contest. Guys, this campaign is on fire. 5% in Iowa, on the up and up. We're going to wake up like end of December, mid-January, and you're going to look at a poll and you're going to be like, how the hell is Andrew Yang in double digits in one of these early states? That's what's going to happen. And then on election day,
People are going to come
we're
out.
going to come out big.
And we have some really fun surprises coming down the
We
pipe
do.
for you
We're
all.
not.
Like, it's so fun. At any moment in time, I'm withholding approximately half a dozen announcements,
Tricks.
any of which would be really fun and exciting. But then all in due time.
Which is all
in due
terrifying
time.
for the comms team because we know we're a very honest campaign. So Andrew, very good.
But yeah, so stay tuned because some fun, amazing stuff is coming, and the growth just keeps on accelerating and picking up steam thanks to you all. It's incredible. As someone who's been running for months now, seeing the growth, it's astounding, and it's so human. Just appreciate every single person who believes in this campaign. We can accomplish what others think is impossible. And I can't wait to do it with you all. And then they're gonna look up and be like, "Wow, didn't think that was possible." And be like, "Oh, here it is. We can do impossible things together." It's already happening too. It's already
Gang,
happening.
gang, we love you. This is Zach and Andrew signing off. 10 hours straight.
Zach.
What happened?
It doesn't do that.